Alrighty, hello again. So I want to talk about kind of a rich dad, poor dad lesson that I learned from that book, but also part of it's just kind of the way I think as well a little bit. So yesterday at work, so I work with this guy. It doesn't matter what his name is. I kind of want to tell you, but it doesn't really matter. So he's a little bit older. He's maybe 55 or 60, something like that. And I heard him say, I was asking him a question, trying to clarify something. I'm just trying to figure something out. And he was like, yeah, I don't know. I just do what I'm told. And he said, I just do what I'm told. And that line stuck with me so clearly. It just stuck with me. I never forgot that. I hadn't forgot. Well, it's only been a day, but I still haven't forgot that. The point is, he's going to retire soon, probably. So he's getting a little bit older, and he has this thought cycle where he just does what he's told. He just follows directions. He doesn't really think creatively. He doesn't really think resourcefully or independently for himself. And I don't mean to talk bad about the guy. He's a super sweet guy, really cool, very genuine, awesome guy to talk to. However, he does what he's told, and a lot of times that's not a very good thing. That's kind of a rich dad, poor dad thing. I was just thinking about the rat race, right? Of you walk into a job and you think it's a very secure job, and so you stay there because there's benefits and there's all these things. And I need to get over at some point. And so you think that your job is giving you security, and you're just kind of doing as you're told and following the rules, and not really thinking out of the box or being creative at all. And then you end up doing that for your whole life, and now you have to work almost till the day you die a lot of times. And so I guess the takeaway for me was to not do that. It sounds very simple, but I think it can be kind of a difficult thing. So doing what you're told will eventually will give you the sense or the idea, or even just the way of life, to where you are in a rut, right? So you're digging yourself into a rut, and you're gonna, if you keep doing that, if you keep following the rules, and if you keep doing what you're told, and you keep doing that, and you never ever try to expand and grow and learn on your own and be independent and think creatively, then eventually that rut will become so deep that's all that you're going to know, and you're not going to be able to, you can't get out at some point, right? So you have to be able to essentially not do what you're told. And I know that sounds like I'm just being an asshole, or I'm just like, oh, don't do what you're told, break the rules, whatever. And I do have a video about break the rules, and of course there's a balance there. But I think that the main takeaway is that you can't go through your whole life playing by the rules and doing what you're told. Because if you do, then you're never ever going to think for yourself, and you're only ever going to be working under somebody else. Because if the boss is only ever telling you, all right, now you can do this, now you can do that, then you're only going to be waiting for instruction for your whole life. And you've got to break away from that. I think that's a massive lesson that all of us can learn and should learn, and myself included. I've figured that out through Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I've kind of started to retrain my brain a little bit. But I'm still working at the same job, so how am I any different? What makes me stand out? I'm still working the same job, doing the same things he is, and so part of it's like, all right, wake up call, Hunter. What are you doing right now? And for now, I think it's okay, because I'm just trying to survive and make a little bit of money before I do whatever else I want to do. But again, I think you've really got to practice. It's the same thing as anything. It's the same concept as anything else in life. You've got to practice it to get better at it. So if you practice independent thinking, and if you practice creativity and all these things that allow you to think for yourself and create your own life, if you practice those things, then you'll get better at them. If you never ever do that, though, and you're only ever working under somebody, waiting for instruction and following rules and doing what you're told, then again, you're going to start digging yourself into a hole and creating this massive, really difficult to get out of rut. And so that's just, I think, I don't know, I was just thinking about that yesterday. I heard him say that, and I was like, there's a reason that you're working the same job as a 22-year-old, and it's exactly that mentality. And again, not to talk bad about him, I don't want to be doing that. It's just a different mindset. Not that anyone's better or worse than him. People they just live different lifestyles sometimes. But I think that is probably a pretty common mindset and train of thought is, I just work here. Everyone's saying that's a big phrase these days. Oh, I just work here. You just do what you're told. That's a pretty common thing these days. I just work here. Well, maybe don't just work there. Maybe find something that forces you to think on your own. I think that's just a big issue in today's world, that no one is willing to take their own route and find their own path. Because it's scary, right? You don't want to. No one really feels comfortable doing that. But that's exactly the beauty of it, is when you do that, if everyone's going down this trail and you say, you know what, I'm going to get off of the main trail and do your own thing, while yes, it's scary, it's also so much more satisfying. And I'm not that I've paved my own trail completely in my entire life, not that I've been a massive trailblazer and done all these crazy things so far, but I'm working towards it. I'm trying to figure out how to do that. And so I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that because I think it's interesting. Because I think I've seen that multiple times now, actually, where there's a slightly, an older person who has been thinking in the way that they have been for their entire lives, and now they're 65 or whatever. They're however old, and they're working the same job, that an 18-year-old can do. If an 18-year-old can do what you're doing at 65, you probably haven't been doing too much. I mean, you haven't been growing all that much. If any 18-year-old can just walk into a job, and after a couple weeks he's figured things out, that means you've been stagnant for 45 years. So that means you haven't been thinking creatively for 45 years. That's terrible. That's how your brain becomes mush, is by not using it. And so you've got to use your brain creatively. You've got to use your brain independently and kind of do things that make you uncomfortable. So anyway, I guess I'm kind of rambling now, but I just thought about that yesterday. So don't just do what you're told, and don't just listen. Don't just follow the rules. Think on your own. You've got to think on your own and be creative and find a new path, because the second that you make the decision that you're satisfied and then you don't change for years, your life's over. You're not going to be. You will not. I promise you will not be satisfied, because you're not taking any chances. So, anyway, that's my video. I'm done talking now. Bye bye.